I don't care what anyone says, clowns are real. Not the birthday party kind. Not the circus acts with balloon animals and bad jokes. I mean the ones who wait in the dark, laughing at you before they step out of the trees. I know this because, back in 2017, my friends and I nearly died because of them. People in my town still pretend nothing happened, but I'll never forget. You see, the real story doesn't start with a movie or some viral prank. The roots stretch back centuries into rituals no one talks about anymore, and into books that certain people don't want you to read. Information about it disappears, wiped from the internet, as though someone out there is working overtime to keep us blind. But I've held the evidence in my hands. And it all came to a head in a town on Lake Michigan called Ashwood Harbor. This is where I grew up. And this is where the laughter found us. Ashwood Harbor was the kind of town where nothing ever happened. Population barely over 1,000. Tourists came in the summer to fish, rent boats, or sit on the lake's stony beach. We had one grocery store, one diner, a gas station, and a police department so small the entire force could fit inside a single van. My two closest friends were Ryan and Caleb. Ryan was tall, loud, the natural leader who never backed down from a dare. Caleb was quiet, homeschooled most of his life, and lived with his mother in a farmhouse right where the woods began. I was somewhere in between, skeptical, restless, always chasing stories online about UFOs and cryptids. We hunted, fished, played video games, and chased girls without much success. Life was simple, until the clowns came. The first whispers started late September. A few kids claimed they saw someone in costume near the old sanctuary trail. No one took it seriously until Mrs. Garland, the kindest old woman in town, called the police. She said two figures in clown costumes had stood at the edge of her yard at night, whistling at her before vanishing into the tree line. Days later, her dog disappeared. More pets went missing. Then a tourist claimed a group of clowns surrounded his car at the lighthouse. At first, he thought it was a prank until he spotted one carrying a knife. He sped off and never came back. Ashwood Harbor had no real crime, so every sighting felt like an earthquake. The police imposed an 8 p.m. curfew. Parents whispered about canceling Halloween. Patrols staked out the lighthouse and trailheads, but no one was ever caught. Rumor had it officers once chased shapes into the woods, but lost them. The tension was unbearable. And then came the night we made our choice. October 21st, 2017. Ryan, Caleb, and I decided to walk the trail behind Caleb's house to the zipline park. We'd done it dozens of times before. It was only 20 minutes, and the path was familiar. Each of us carried a wooden staff Caleb's father had carved years earlier. They weren't weapons so much as symbols, polished sticks with designs etched into them. But holding them made us feel like knights heading into battle. Halfway through, we reached a massive boulder we always called the giant seat. It was our resting spot, a place for jokes and snacks. Ryan climbed on top as usual, showing off. Then we heard it. A giggle. It came from the other side of the boulder, sharp and deliberate. We froze. Ryan twisted around from his perch. Caleb and I crept forward, hearts pounding, but no one was there. The laugh moved into the trees, sliding through the branches like smoke. It was a man's laugh, too loud, too mocking to be accidental. I yanked Caleb back behind the rock. Ryan stayed where he was, staring into the woods. The sound faded, but the silence it left behind felt heavier than lead. We continued on, trying to pretend nothing had happened. But I think all of us knew we'd crossed a line. It wasn't until years later that I discovered the book, Librium Obscurum, Latin for dark mockery, a fragile, centuries-old volume filled with descriptions of bizarre rituals, men painting their faces, mocking one another, laughing in shadowed places, caves, abandoned halls, dense forests, The text spoke of ris tenebrarum, laughter of darkness. When laughter rose from hidden places, it marked the coming of something called Corydon. The word meant clown in Latin, but its roots hinted at more: companion, warrior, harbinger. I didn't know any of that back then. If I had, maybe we would have taken the road home instead of the trail. By the time we left the zipline park, the sun was sinking. Shadows stretched long across the ground. We reached the giant seat, and Ryan cursed so loud it made me jump. The back of the boulder was smeared with fresh blood. On top sat 3 skulls: a dog, a cat, and something smaller, maybe a pug. My stomach dropped when I remembered Mrs. Garland's missing pet. Then the laughter came again, this time from the opposite side of the rock, right where the trail led back towards safety. Ryan shouted for whoever it was to show themselves. And they did. The first stepped out dressed in garish purple and yellow, a mask grinning wide with painted blue streaks and tufts of red hair. His gloves were drenched in blood. Another appeared behind us, mocking Caleb's terrified cries in a sing-song voice. Then came the third, a woman in ragged, stained clothes and a mask stitched from leather and cloth. She dragged a little girl with her, no older than 10, her face dirty with tears. The woman spoke cheerfully. We could pass if one of us agreed to be hurt. Otherwise, the girl would stay. She drew a dagger. The others raised a hammer and a rusted kitchen knife. Ryan didn't hesitate. He hurled his staff like a spear, slamming the woman back. "Grab her," he shouted. Caleb lunged for the girl. The knife-wielding clown grabbed his shirt. I smashed the clown's arm with my staff, giving Caleb the chance to scoop the child and run. Chaos erupted. The knife clown turned feral, eyes bloodshot, grin twisted. He slashed my temple, knocking me down. My staff broke beneath me. He straddled me, fingers around my throat, blade raised high. His breath stank of rot. "Why won't you laugh?" he whispered. "Please laugh for me. If you don't laugh, we have to kill you. It's so lonely in the dark." I couldn't breathe. The world dimmed. Then instinct surged. My hand closed on the pocket knife my father had given me. I flipped it open and drove it into the clown's ribs. He screamed, rolling off, but no blood spilled. I staggered up to see Ryan battling the hammer clown with a hatchet. The man collapsed, unmoving. Still no blood. The woman rose, shrieking, and chased Caleb and the girl into the trees. I stumbled after them. Branches whipped my face. The woman's giggles echoed closer and closer. "Come back to the dark. We can play forever." Ahead, Caleb carried the girl, sprinting. Ryan was just behind him. I lagged, lungs on fire. She was gaining on me. Then a voice rang out from the clearing: Caleb's mother, calling for us. That sound slowed the woman, her laughter faltering. I reached the maple crate near the yard, grabbed a 2x4, and turned. She had stopped. Her dagger hung low, but her free hand reached out. "Please," she begged, "don't leave us. It's lonely in the dark." Then she retreated into the woods and vanished. Caleb's mother ushered us inside, rifle in hand. She called the police, who flooded the woods. They found only one body: the hammer clown. The autopsy revealed something terrifying. The man's body was old. His blood was nearly gone. What remained black and foul-smelling. No one could explain it. The other 2 clowns were never found. The blood and skulls at the boulder remained. The little girl, her name was Anna, told investigators the clowns had forced her to crawl in the dirt, dance, and tell jokes. They threatened to kill her if she didn't. When they spotted us, they used her as bait. After that night, the sightings stopped. No more clowns. No missing pets. It was as though the woods exhaled and went still. Life moved on. Ryan joined the army. Caleb went to college. And me? I stayed in Ashwood Harbor, working the boats on Lake Michigan, but never stopped researching. I pieced together fragments of the dark mockery, of the laughter of darkness, of Corydon. I kept circling back to one question. Were they just sick people in masks? Or were they something older? Something summoned by rituals long forgotten? The clown I stabbed should have bled. The one Ryan killed shouldn't have looked ancient. Their words, "Please laugh for me. It's so lonely in the dark," still haunt me. Were they trying to kill us? Recruit us? Warn us of something worse? I don't know. But I do know one thing. The woods are not empty. Not anymore. That's my story. Believe it or don't. But I want to ask you, what do you think? Were they simply deranged people hiding in the woods? Or something Aldran echo of rituals meant to summon horrors we can't comprehend? And beyond that, what does it say about us? About the world we live in, when violence and cruelty can disguise themselves with painted smiles and laughter? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Take a stance. Tell me how you see it: prank, madness, or evil. I'll be reading.